Hello, this is Mark Ridlin. Um, I just wanted to kind of go over some of the features of this new Doom Legacy port I've been working on. So Doom Legacy, well, first and foremost, let me just get this out of the way. This is an AI developed project, so um, if that bothers you, then just this is not for you. But if this is something that you're interested in, I'm developing an arcade port of Doom Legacy that's specifically for arcade machines. Like if you want to build your own arcade machine, um, this is what you use here. It's going to be designed specifically so that you can run it on the arcade floor and not have people monkeying around with the settings. And yeah, so let's just jump right into it, okay? So first things first, this is based on Doom Legacy. Doom Legacy was made by Fabrice Dennis and Boris Pereira. So yeah, kudos to them for developing Doom Legacy. Um, and of course, kudos to id Software for developing the original Doom. Couldn't have done it without any of those people. So starting it off, there's two ways you can launch the game. Whoops, I think I clicked on that. All right. No, I guess we're good. There's two ways you can launch the game. The first way is just you run it by itself, Doom Legacy. You can double click the binary or run it /Doom Legacy from the folder. Um, this is the version that you would run if you're running an arcade machine. You want it to run boot up to this game. Um, the second way you can run it is dev mode. And there's some other command line flags I've built into this. Um, so dev mode, what that does, and um, it boots in with full menus. It gives you all the menus, all of the options. And so if you want to go in and change something, you go into dev mode. So I'll just show you what that looks like. It's going to be kind of overwhelming because of all the menus. It doesn't look at all like it still has to read this. There's an options menu. Um, so let me just show you here. We have this menu options menu. Menu options are the arcade menu options. You can alter the menu sounds. You can change the way the screens go, so you can either turn it off completely. I like crossfade. I think crossfade looks really nice. It's kind of like this clean transition. And then there's the good old-fashioned melt, which I don't think looks as good in high resolution as it does in the old-fashioned way that the melt works. So I leave this at crossfade. Right now I'm still reworking this. I might just take this two-player mode thing out since we have control panels, which is the number of players that can play on the system at once. You can have 1 to 4 players. So if you have it set for one control panel and two-player mode off, which I'm gonna fix that later. Then basically it's just running, you're just running one player, or you can run 4 players. So you can run 1, 2, 3, or 4 players on a control panel. Control panels are like the joystick and buttons combinations. So we're going to leave that on. Join time, this is your multiplayer. When you start a multiplayer game, this is the amount of time you're giving the people to join on to the game. You can select which game you want to boot to. You want to boot to Ultimate Doom, Doom 2, Plutonia, TNT. I like it booting to Ultimate Doom, so I'm going to leave it there. So there's also an option in-game where you can change the game that you're playing on. So even though it's going to boot to Doom, Ultimate Doom, it's going to default, like when you reboot the system, it's going to default to booting to Doom Ultimate Doom. There's a cheats menu. The cheats menu is useful for, if you have people who just want to play cheated mode with God mode and all weapons and all that kind of stuff. There's a way to enter your initials when you go to enter your high score. So there's the initials timeout. That's the amount of time for that. Then the attract sequence. So in an arcade machine, there's like the part that just keeps playing when nobody's there. That's called the attract screen. And you can set this to anywhere from 0 to 100. I'm going to set it down to like 25%. I think that's fair for when we're on the attract screen, so I can talk over it a little bit. Normally I'll leave that about, I'm not sure yet. I haven't figured out the ideal attract volume, but yeah, it just defaults to 50. And then we have an audit screen. So this tells you how many times a one-player game has been played, how many times a two-player game has been played, etc. This has got stats. So if you like stats, yeah. And so as you see where it says clear audit at the console resets. So if you do a dash clear audit at the console, this will be reset. So yeah, that's pretty much that. You can set up controls. There is a guided setup for each player. So you can have players 1 through 4. There's Xbox controllers configurations. This supports Xbox controllers to a rudimentary degree. It doesn't support full-on analog mode, but you can use the analog sticks in a digital mode, if that makes sense. Of course, you can have modify the player configurations directly. So this is just the same as it was before, except now there's 4 players. So that's pretty much it on the arcade specific configurations. So let's go into, so like I said, none of this, very little of this I should say, is displayed at the, of course you got your visual options. This is stuff that's, most of this has been built in to Doom Legacy by default. There was only one thing, the Spectre Fuzz, I had got that working. Translucency auto, light options, there's ways to set the different things. Video options, I got some of the video options working, so it'll draw in software mode optionally. So if you want to switch to software mode, you can do that. You can do that here. It'll play in both software or OpenGL. I think I like OpenGL a little bit better, but also OpenGL 3D card options, you can change, if you want the chunky pixels, you can of course change it to nearest or nearest linear, and you'll have the chunky pixels. But I leave it at trilinear just because. Yeah, there's lots of options. You can make it look good. You can add some fog. You can add, in theory, you can add your MD2 models. I'm not sure. I think you have to load those in, but so there's a lot of features in this that are already built into Doom Legacy, and this is building on top of that base. So if you wanted to come in and play just like single player, and you just didn't care about any of the scoring or anything, you could just load this up. Now, it's set so it does not record any high scores while you're in dev mode, and that is by design. We don't want people running it in dev mode. So there's that. So let's just go ahead and, like I said, there's a cheats mode, but you have to start a game first. Let's just go ahead and quit out of here for now. And let's run it in normal cabinet mode or regular mode, and I'll show you what it looks like. So one of the things I was thinking about doing, and this is still just fairly in development, I'm thinking of taking out the quit game, because how often do you see an arcade game with a quit game option? So I'm going to move that to a menu option where you can turn off quit game. So all you'll see is new game option sheets when you boot up. Now the options, like I said, are pretty limited. You can turn on your crosshair. There's some game options which will invalidate high scoring. So you won't be able to set any record times if you change any of these options. There's some advanced options that you can set. There's some map variations you can set. This is all just pretty much built into Doom Legacy already. One thing I did add was monster height. They didn't have a monster height built into it. As you may know, Doom by default has infinite monster height. So you try to walk off of a ledge and a monster's there blocking you, you can't walk off the ledge on top of that monster. You're just stuck there. So that was one thing. You can turn that off to over under, but it eliminates high scoring. So that's pretty much all the options here except for select game. So this is where, like I said, you can go in and change the game. Like you want to run Doom 2, it'll switch it out, reload it up, and boom, you're in Doom 2 already. So let's just go back into Ultimate Doom because that's where I've been doing most of my testing. Not to say that Doom 2 is neglected by any means. So here we are. We booted up. We're in the attract screen. This is just the default sequence that loads, created with Claude. Like I said, this is an AI-generated project. So here's the attract screen. As you can see, it's loading up demos that I've recorded previously. And yeah, so this one is a max run. You can see it says E1M1 HMP max, so that's Hurt Me Plenty is the difficulty level. And E1M1 is the level, and max is the category, which means kill everything to collect all secrets. 100% and 100% on 2 of the bars. And there you go. Now you see it bumps it over to the high scores. Now there's 12 pages. I don't show them all at once. They show 4 at a time. So there's 4 at a time, and or I keep the levels joined together. So this is I'm Too Young to Die. We're going to see that, and then the other corresponding half of it is the max runs. There we go. There's the max runs. And that's the first 4 pages of records. Now we're going to jump into another record. We're going to watch another record playthrough here. So yeah, like as you can see, the volume's pretty low right now. Like I said, we set it to 25 earlier, so it should be nice and low, nice and comfortably low. So like if you don't want your arcade machine blaring all the time. And here we got the nightmare speed. So this is just beating the first level on nightmare. It's possible. Yep. So there you go. So we go 5, 6. We're gonna go 7 and 8. And so we got Hey Not Too Rough records here. Now normally only Ultraviolence records are counted as official, but since this is an arcade machine, people might be using like an arcade joystick. I wanted to record any records that might be set on any difficulty level, just to be thorough, just to see what people want to play. And obviously it's hard to play on an arcade joystick. I mean, even if you're playing like I recommend with a T-Spin Plus controller, which is like a WASD controller. And here we go, we have another short demo. So now what it does is it plays short demos at first, and then once it completes the whole attract cycle, of going through all 12 pages. Well, at this point it's only 12. There can be more, but at the moment it's only 12 pages. Once it completes the whole attract cycle, goes through all 12 pages, it will play a long demo. And long demos, I believe, are over, I forget what I said it to, 4 minutes? Long demos, I believe, are over 4 minutes long. So here we've got the single level. Now at the end of each attract cycle, it pulls up a single level scores, and it shows like the top 3 on the single level. Now there is another way you can view that information, and I'll show you that in a minute once I go into it. But let's see what long demo plays here just real quick. I'm not going to let the whole thing play through. This is this is a demo that doesn't have any business being as long. It's kind of a full demo. I just wanted to record a demo that was over 5 minutes just to see, make sure that the code was working properly and it was categorizing things correctly. So I've recorded this demo. Obviously this is a very short level, and I get into the exit room here, and I just kind of sit there for the rest of the 4 minutes, and I'm not going to put you through that. But let's just suffice to say, imagine you're sitting here. Now, one thing that I did have to do was there's a 60-second timeout on the controls. So if you don't touch the controls for 60 seconds, it will boot you back to the attract cycle. And I will demonstrate that real quick here. Let's just do that real fast. Now, you'll notice the volume turns up. That, like I said, this is not in attract mode anymore. You're actually playing. So I'm just not going to touch the controls for 60 seconds, and it's going to put you back into the attract mode. And we are listening to Andrew Holschild's IDKFA soundtrack. Someone made a mod of it that you can load in. You'll see the HUD. There's kills, items, secrets, and you'll also see there's bullets, shells, rocket cell, like you would normally expect in Doom. That way you can kind of keep track of your ammos. And I'll show you some more about the HUD later. But we're returning back to the track mode, and you'll see it's going to get a little quieter. There we go, nice and quiet. Still keeps playing, but it's nice and quiet. So there you go. So that's how it exits out of attract mode. Now, let's go into see what options we have as far as games go. There are 3 main modes of playing here. There's single player, single level, and multiplayer. Single player is like a campaign mode. You start at the beginning of the game, you start at level 1, and you just keep playing. So you select your episode in Doom. Doom 2 doesn't have episodes, so you just start at level 1, map 1. So we select Knee Deep in the Dead. Let's go ahead and see. Okay, so now also you can see at the bottom of the screen we have what the current records are for each category. So we have the first category is speed, and you'll see I completed episode 1, map 8. With a time of 6 minutes 56 seconds. That's a full survival episode. That means I completed the entire episode. The max category has only been beaten on the first level, so I completed the first level and then failed to either get max or I died on the second level, one of the 2. Okay, so yeah, that's pretty much that. You can select any of the 4 players. So if I had player 3 and I wanted to play on player 3's control panel, I could do that. So right now I'm just playing keyboard only at the moment. So anyway, that's that mode. And that doesn't work yet. Fix that. Single level. So there's single level. Single level is similar, except that it only plays through one level. So you start E1 M1, and you just play on M1. Of course, I'm not going to set it up. So I think I will. Set 14-second time, 14:02. Not terrible, but not great. So let's see if it gives me a no. See, because the record for ultraviolence is 13 minutes and 42 seconds, or 0.42. 13 seconds and 0.42. Let's see. Let's do one where there isn't 3 records set. This one, yeah, E1 M2. So I've only set 2 records here. So it doesn't matter what I get, I'm gonna set a record here. So let me show you what that looks like. Just really quickly zip through this level. Very well. You'll notice that the keyboard only controls are actually pretty responsive, which is what we're counting on for this T-spin plus control. Okay, now that definitely set it up because we only had 2 records set. So I'm going to click through the next thing and boom. Now I can put in my initials here. Now you can also go back, which is kind of cool. So if you made a mistake, you can go fix that. And then either fire to accept or just wait for a little while and it will accept it for you. Now we can watch the speed run, which is we don't have a max run recorded for this, but we can watch speed. So we can just pull it up and watch the speed run of this particular level. There we go. So that was the current record. Obviously not that great of a run, but that's the current record as it stands on this machine. So then another thing we can do, we can play a 4-player multiplayer game. Right now I only have players 1 and 2 bound. I'd have to configure players 3 and 4, but at any rate, so let me show you that real fast. So you can set it to, there's lots of options. Co-op and deathmatch, there's DM, DM weapons, DM items, DM both. Co-op, SP map, whatever that means, single player map. Co-op 60, co-op 80, co-op. I'm not sure what all these options do just yet. I haven't put in that much testing on it, but this is all stuff that's built into Doom Legacy by default. So let's just do an old-fashioned deathmatch map. We can turn on monsters if we want, and we can turn on bots if we want. So let's put a couple bots in. And let's add player 1 fire, player 2 fire, and then if you wanted to press space, or well, I guess it's use, press use to just bypass the count, you can. There we go. So now we're playing on E1 M2. There should be a bot somewhere in here. So, at any rate, at any rate, that's how this game works. We can do go to in-game for that. And eventually what I want it to do is for in-game to also end the single-player game as well. So I don't have that exactly working yet, but that's planned. And that's... Oh, one more thing, the cheats menu, of course. So let's just start another cheat. Start another... oh, whoops. That might have to be fixed. This is still very much in development. Okay, now let's do cheats. God mode, all weapons. Do no flipping. No flipping will get you through any walls. Can't pick up anything. There's exit level if you really get stuck. Cheats, just exit level. That'll get you to the next one. Now, one thing you'll note is that now you'll see up at the top where it says player cheated unranked. So if you run any cheats, you're now unranked. That's pretty much the situation with that game. If you have any ideas of what might be good to be added to it, leave me a comment and give me a thumbs up. Thank you.